Hey, how's it going, everybody? Tim here, back with another talk. And today I wanted to talk about debt. D-E-B-T, debt. Now, anyone who follows my channel on YouTube knows that debt is one of my soapboxes. I can go in on debt. Every time I'm doing a live stream and someone brings up something about debt, like my voice goes up like 2 octaves. Like I get real excited and I just preach. I just go to town about debt. And today's going to be no different. Today, I wanted to just sit down and kind of do a longer audio talk just about debt. It's a subject that I spend a lot of time researching. I watch a lot of documentaries. I watch a lot of television segments. I watch a lot of, just videos on debt. And the reason I think why it's so fascinating to me is because it bothers me. Debt bothers me. And I feel like that's the way it should be for all of us. I feel like everyone should hate being in debt. And there was a time in history where no one liked being in debt. The borrower is a slave to the lender. It's in the Bible. And I'm sure the other holy books have references to debt being bad as well. There was a time that people only got into debt out of necessity, and then they got out as quickly as possible. Debt was just something that came along if you had an unfortunate situation happen in life and you needed to fix it. You had to borrow some money, but as soon as possible, you got out of debt because debt was not good. People looked at you crazy if they found out you using debt. Oh, you owe so-and-so money? Ooh, it was a problem. However, our favorite evil institutions, the bankers, have come along, and in the past probably 100 years, maybe even less than that. Actually, probably less than that. Probably it started, I think, in the 70s, 80s is when they really started playing these games. So what is that, 40 years? Past 50, 40 years, they have totally changed the way society looks at debt. The way we look at debt has totally changed, and now it's no longer a negative thing. Now people's attitude towards debt is, oh, everybody's got debt. I should get some too. Now people's attitude towards debt is that they get jealous if you can get more debt than them. If someone sees their neighbor, in more debt and having more things that they're paying on, they get jealous. Why can't I get loans and get, that stuff too? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get that deep in debt as my neighbors? Keeping up with the Joneses is now debt-based. The Joneses is broke and in debt, and you trying to be like them too. That's how society sees debt now. And I've had conversations with people where I talked about not using credit cards. I know I'm a little extreme on that one. I'll never say that you shouldn't have any credit cards like me. I think it's great if you can live like that, but I understand people have a credit card or two, whatever. But I've had conversations where I was just discussing I don't have any credit cards, things like that, or other things about debt, and the first thing people said was, everybody's got debt, you can't help it, or something along those lines, which I had just told them that I had no debt, so obviously you can't. Anyway, the point is, that is the outlook people have this day and age, is that in order to make it, you have to have some debt. So debt is okay. Now, you have to factor things into as well, like I will freely admit that what they've done with housing prices. Pretty much everyone who wants to own a house is going to have a mortgage. So a lot of times, even when I'm talking about debt, I'm not talking about like your mortgage. Because I understand most people want to own houses, and that's pretty much the only way 90% of us can have a house. So I kind of leave that debt alone. I can understand you going into debt for a place to live. I can understand that. But I think what a byproduct of pretty much everyone having to have a mortgage is that once again, we get very comfortable with debt, and not just debt, large amounts of it. Years ago, lots of people had to have mortgages too, but they were smaller. Housing prices were not as astronomically high as they are now. So back then, yes, people might have had mortgage debt. It wasn't very high. They paid it off very quickly. No more debt. Now, if you want a house, you got to get comfortable with paying on it for 20, 30 years. And once you've wrapped your brain around that, it's a lot easier to wrap your brain around, getting 2 loans on 2 automobiles that you're going to pay off in 5 years, hopefully. It's a lot easier to wrap your mind around putting things on a credit card and having 4 or 5 credit cards and you telling yourself you're going to pay it off in 6 months. It's a lot easier to wrap your head around that because you already know you're going to be in debt 30 years. What's a few more dollars a month? That's all part of the trap. Like, it isn't just that society went this way. Like, this is all by design. Like, I know very little about economics, finances, but this stuff is so blatantly obvious that they've done that someone as unlettered as me in these areas can follow the trail. Oh, so that's what they did there. Oh, then they did that. Then they did that. Oh, and that's how we got where we are. This is all by design. They like to make you think that it's just this totally capitalistic market and the market does what it does. And this is what happened. I don't know. It just happened. That's what they try to make you think. And the average person who doesn't do any research just, hey, that's the way it is. I mean, you gotta, if you want to have things these days, you gotta, finance them because, not making enough money to pay for it, blah, 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 blah. You gotta ask yourself, why could our parents or our grandparents on one salary, one person working typically, afford to buy a house, a car, school clothes, everything they need, very little debt, if any? Fast forward 30 years, we can't do that. It's not just the way it is. It's because of things like greed and manipulation and things that the banks and other people have done that prices are so much higher now. And a byproduct of prices being higher and wages being stagnant is that people have to go into debt to get the things they want. And in some cases, sadly, to get the things they need. So not only do the banks make money when they make the prices on things a lot higher, the banks and I should add the corporations in this one too. Corporations make the prices higher. Then you have to go to the bank to get a loan so you can buy the stuff. Everybody wins except us. Everybody wins but the consumer. Then, not to mention, you throw the media in the mix and they preach consumerism through advertisements and on the shows and, the movies and all forms of media. All forms of media preach consumerism, which makes you want to buy more. In order to buy more, you have to go more into debt. It is all linked together. It is all a game to rob the poor man, rob the consumer, the everyday Joe, out of his money. And then not that. See, they're not content to do that. This is what really gets me. They're not content to just get all your money. They're not content for you to, every paycheck you get, have to fork over 80, 90% to bills and stuff like that. They weren't content with it. How can we get even more of their money? How can we get the money they ain't even got yet? You realize when you go into debt, that is what you're doing. You are giving away money that you haven't even made yet. Let me say that again. You are giving away money you have not even made yet. And if time is money, which a lot of people say it is, I have different views on whether time is actually money. But for today, we're not going to go into that. Let's just say time is money, in the sense that most people use it. If time is money and you're giving away money you haven't even made yet, you are already giving away time in your life. Basically, what you're doing when you go into debt is you are signing over hours of your life to the credit card company, to the banks. You are signing over hours of your life, days of your life, weeks of your life, years of your life. You're giving them away. Giving them away in order to pay back these debts. And the only thing we really have in this life is time. Because it doesn't matter how well your life is going otherwise, whether you're healthy, in love, happy. If you run out of time, it don't matter. Don't none of that matter if you run out of time. The Grim Reaper comes around the corner. Don't none of that matter. So really, at the end of the day, the most important thing we have in life is time. And if you are signing that away before you even get it. You're giving your life away. That's my problem with debt. Problem with debt is that it literally takes away from people's lives, because once you get into debt, then you have to work to pay it back. You don't have the money yet. So you're going to have to work X amount of hours to pay that money back. And those are hours that you can't use to do what you want in life. Now, we also live in a society where most people have already decided that they're probably going to have to, be working for most of their life. So it doesn't bother a lot of people. This is one of the things that really gets to me. I'll know anyone who follows my channel, follows me on social media, whatever. I talk about mindset a lot. It's all about mindset. And we are not born with, we are programmed from a very young age. It's almost like we're born with it, because they start programming us from a very young age. Programmed to believe that there are certain things in life just we're going to have to do, or they're just the way they are. One of those is working long hours for someone else well into our 60s. Everyone around us has that mindset. That's what people tell us. Hey, go to school so you can get a good job, so you can work for somebody else. And then when, you can save up a lot of money. And then when you retire at 65, 70, you can do what you want. This is still the programming we get. Kids these days are getting the same program, even though there's so much research to the contrary that this doesn't work anymore. There's so many alternate ways to make a living, so many different lifestyles, but still the main lifestyle that people think is the way to success: get a degree, work very hard till you retire, then have fun. So when you already go into the workplace, or once you graduate high school, graduate college, you already have the mindset that I'm going to be working for years and years and years. It makes it easier for them to heap debt upon you, because it doesn't bother you. I'm going to be working my whole life anyway. What's a few more $1,000? We don't come out of high school or college with a financial freedom outlook. We don't hop into the workforce and say, okay, how long do I have to work for me to be financially free, and for me to be able to work for myself or not have to work at all? That's not a lot of people's outlook. Our outlook is, I'm going to be working my whole life anyway. What's this debt? What's a 30-year mortgage? I'm going to be working 30 years anyway. And this is sad, but it's by design. All of this is by design. I mean, if you just thought about it, if you took someone who had not been brainwashed in the society we live in today, and they were like sheltered in some monastery or something until they were 18, and then you asked them, hey, the world's wide open in front of you. You can do whatever you want. You've got two options. You can work your whole life until you're 65, then have fun, or you can figure out a way to work maybe 20 years and then do whatever you want to do. Which one would you pick? And monastery boy is going to say, give me option B. That first one don't make no sense. But that's the way a lot of us have been taught to think in this day and age. And once again, it all mixes together, because then you become very comfortable with debt. Wage slaves don't worry about debt because they know they're going to be working anyway. And it's very sad. Like, the reason I get so passionate about debt is because it is very sad. And for most people, it is not something they have to do. People voluntarily get deep in debt. People willfully get deep in debt. People run down to the bank to get deep in debt. People run down to the payday loan store. Don't get me started on payday loans. There's debt, and then there's debt. Then there's damn. Like, don't get me started on payday loans. We may revisit that before this talk is over. But people, line up to get put in debt in this day and age. And a big part of it is entitlement. A big part of it is we feel like we are entitled to certain things even when we don't have the money for them. I work hard. I should be able to have this car. I should be able to live in this neighborhood. I should be able to take 2 vacations a year to expensive places I can't afford. Why? Why? Entitlement is so insane, especially if you take the time to look at all the people in the world, especially in what people call third world countries. These people work hard, just as hard as us in the developed nations, a lot harder sometimes. A lot of these people work a lot harder than us for a lot less money, and they don't even have the opportunity to do a lot of the stuff we could do. So why do we feel like we're entitled to all this stuff? Why do we feel like we're special and should have access to money to do all this stuff that we can't afford? But once again, all by design. What they want you to, they want you entitled. They preach entitlement. It's in the movies, it's in the music, it's in the television shows. They want you to be entitled. It's in the commercials. If you just sit and look at commercials, it is nothing but entitlement in so many of them. Like, they openly say it. They'll say stuff like, you work hard, you deserve this. Like, that entitlement is preached because they want you to feel entitled, because an entitled person will always spend more money. And they're typically not going to have it, so they're going to have to borrow it. And you have to look at debt too. A lot of people don't look at debt. A lot of people think the banks are there to help them. A lot of people think that the banks and the credit card companies are there to help them. The banks and the credit card companies are not your friend. They are not there to help you. They are there to make money. Yes, they wear nice suits and they smile and they smell good and they got nice teeth and they shake your hand and make you feel very important when you go in there to get a loan. But they are not your friend. They're there to make money off of you. And now, in itself, I wouldn't have a problem with this if you didn't have this whole, designed matrix that we grow up in, where everything is telling you to go to the banks and go to the credit card companies and to spend your money. If it was a level playing field, and the messages we were getting were equal, hey, don't spend your money, and then, hey, spend your money. If there were equal messages saying, don't go into debt, go into debt. If there was a balance and people decided to go into debt, okay, cool. You made a decision based on balanced material, balanced facts. But it's not like that. 95%, probably more than that, 98% of the information we get says you need to be living this lifestyle, that debt, consumerism, buy bigger, better, faster, more. And then you have a couple people out here on the fringes, us crazy people, who are saying you don't need to do all that. Most people don't hear us fringe people because it's just hard to find us in the sea of spending. So that's kind of my problem. When you have institutions that are set up solely to make money off of you, and then they rig the game so that the average person is going to come to them because that's all they're going to know. It's not fair. I just want people to be able to make the decisions for themselves, whether they want to get into debt, whether they want to be like mindless consumers. I want them to be able to make the decision for themselves based on the facts. But most people don't get the facts. So most people, they grow up and they're like, oh man, I have to have all this stuff in order to be successful, or entitlement comes in and they're like, I deserve to have all this stuff. Only way to get it, go to the banks, credit card companies. And they go in and they make it seem like they're such your friend. They're helping you out. We know you need these things. We're here to help you. You don't have to have the money. We'll give it to you. We're here to help. We're your friends. And you get so wrapped up in oh man, these people like me. They're here to help me, that the average person doesn't look at things like interest rates. The average person doesn't read the fine print. The average person doesn't sit and take the time to figure out how the loans is set up and, when the payments might increase and all these other things. I can't get too deep with you here because I ain't never took out no loan, so I don't really know what all this stuff is. I do know a lot about like interest rates and stuff like that because I watch a lot of videos about, people with these terrible interest rates. While we're talking about interest rates, this thought occurred to me the other day. It's funny to me. If I go into a bank and I say, I want a loan for whatever it is I don't have the money for, that I probably don't need. And they run my credit and they see I'm a credit risk. which basically says, if you really boil it down, basically says, I don't have the money to pay it back. I don't have the money at all, but if I got good credit, that basically says I'm kind of reliable, and my income, all the factors they look at. Credit says I'm reliable to pay it back, and they'll look at my income that says I make enough to be able to pay this amount back. If they run my stuff and it comes back, I'm a credit risk, or my income isn't enough, they'll say, okay, we can't loan you this money at a good interest rate. Let's just say they were loaning, if I came in there and I had a good credit score and the right income, and I lived in the right area, whatever it took, whatever their metrics are for me to get a loan, and they were like that, if that person walked in, say they were loaning them the money at 2%, I don't know. I come in there and I don't meet those metrics. They'll still loan me the money, but at a higher interest rate, which basically means I have to pay them back more money. Okay? If they didn't think I met the metrics to pay back the initial amount of money, why would you give me a loan where I have to give you back more of that money? Huh? Say I went in there wanting $5,000. They looked at it and said, ooh, we don't think you'll be able to pay back $5,000. We can't give you the loan at the standard 2% interest. But we can loan you the $5,000 at 13% interest. So instead of paying us back $6,000, you'll have to pay us back $8,000. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? Now I know they'll say stuff like, well, if they're paying, a higher interest rate, they're paying more a month, we might get our money back quick. They say stuff like that. But at the end of the day, does that make any sense? I won't loan you the money at a good interest rate because I don't think you can pay it back. I'll loan it to you at a bad interest rate where you end up owing me more money. It's insane. It's insane. They should either loan you the money or not loan you the money. You have to think about this stuff. Like, we don't even think about it. We just like, yeah, if you got bad credit, they'll loan you the money, but a higher interest rate. We think it's normal. You got to think about this stuff. The reason they do that is because it's all about making money. And they want to get you trapped in debt. They like when you can't pay the money. This is the thing too. Banks, credit card companies, they like when you can't pay the debt back on time because they tack more fees and they get more in interest from you. So they love seeing somebody come in the door who they think eventually this person can probably pay the debt off. But they'll probably get behind a lot. We can hit them with a horrible interest rate. We can end up getting almost double our money back by the time this is through. And if you really do the research and you look at some of the games the credit card companies play and the little stuff in the fine print and the fees and all that stuff, if you really look, do the research. It's out there. I've done it. It is dirty. It is dirty. It is nasty. Every now and then they come through and they put some legislation in place to make sure these companies can't be too crazy with it. A lot of times, some of this legislation is state-based, so the credit card companies will just move to another state to get around it. But yeah, do the research. It is dirty. It is nasty. It's filthy. Some of the stuff these credit card companies do to separate you from your money once they get you in debt. Once they get you in debt, they got you, and they're just going to get as much money out of you as they can because they're not there to help you. I don't care what the MasterCard commercials say. They're not there to help you. They're there to make money off of you. And they play a dirty game. I wouldn't be as mad at the banks, the credit card companies, if they didn't play dirty. If they played it straight up, and if they thought you couldn't pay back the loan, they just wouldn't give you a loan. If they just, if it was fair, if they used fair business practices, I wouldn't be mad. If people got balanced information about debt, and the people that loaned you money were fair and honest, I would not be mad. Because I'd be like, okay, obviously if you go into debt, you want to go into debt. And even if you do go into debt, you can probably get out quick because, it's fair. No. The game is rigged from the beginning to make you think you need to go in debt or that it's normal to go in debt. And then once they get you in debt, they start raping you. So once again, we lose. The average working man and woman loses. And then it also wouldn't be so bad if the banks and the credit card companies, didn't already have millions and millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars. They already got all the money, and they're steadily, and it increases more and more as the years go by, steadily trying to find new ways to separate us from the little bit of coins we got. Wages haven't gone up in 10, 15 years. But the amount of money they're taking from us keeps going up. Y'all know now I got to talk about student loans. I got to talk about student loan debt. I got to. It's been 25 minutes. I got to. I've been holding it back. I got to. This is one of the, to my mind, one of the nastiest practices out there. You take people who, through 12 years of schooling, haven't really been taught about money or money management. That's by design. We could cut out English classes altogether after like third grade when everybody learns to read and write, and then just teach money management. Lots of other classes we could cut out, teach money management, but they don't want to. So you get a 7, 18, 19-year-old kid who really knows nothing about managing money. As soon as they turn 18, you hit them with credit cards. We'll get into that later, maybe. But then you've preached to them their whole life. Teachers, guidance counselors, parents, whatever. You've preached to them their whole life that they need to go to college. We've jacked the rates of college through the roof. It's insane the percentage, college tuition has gone up in the past 30 years. It's craziness. It's craziness. You could go to like a state college 30 years ago, a couple $1,000 a year or something like that. Now it's $10,000 a year. It's crazy. I'm telling you, it's insane. Look it up. It's insane. We've jacked the price of college through the roof, not because it needed to be jacked up through the roof. The college campuses are still the same. They ain't paying college professors that much more money. The curriculum ain't got, $10,000 better. It's basically some of the same stuff. College, it hasn't, got much better. Nothing's really changed to justify the price going up that much. They've jacked college tuition through the roof, but then you've preached to these kids that they have to go to college or they're going to be failures, or they're going to be losers, they're never going to be successful. You have to go to college. Obviously, you can't afford it, but hey, we'll loan you the money. Don't worry about it. We'll loan you the money. We'll even pay for your books, your tuition, your housing. We'll loan you all that money. You don't have to worry about nothing. All you have to do is go to school for whatever degree you want. Because when you get out, you're going to be making money. Look at this pamphlet here that we typed up. Look at these numbers on here that it says what you're going to be making with your history degree, with your literature degree, your English degree. Look at these numbers we put on here that we arbitrarily pulled out of our butts to say this is what the average person with your degree makes. See that? All right, now sign here. What you're going to need, what, $10,000 this year? Whatever, sign, we got you. Come back next year, we'll give you more money. Basically just pressuring these kids into taking out these loans. You can't tell somebody your future is going to be horrible unless you do this and we'll pay for it and expect them to sit and think about it. No, some kids do. Some kids are like, no, I'm not doing it. But I think those are people who just have a natural aversion to debt. I'm one of those people. I just have a natural aversion to debt. I'm a natural saver. I don't like owing people money. I don't like being broke. I'm a natural saver. Don't like debt. I think some, even when I was that age, I saw through it. I was like, no, I'm not going to college. I don't want to pay that money. But a lot of these young people, they just go by what they've heard. My parents told me this. My guidance counselor told me this. This guy seems nice in here with this paperwork. They're going to allow me, this person is my friend because they're going to give me the money I need so I can go to college and be successful. We're painting these kids a bleak picture of their future if they don't take a certain action, and we know they don't have the money to take that action, and then we're giving them the money, putting them in debt from the moment they become an adult. That's my problem with student loan debt. If we gave them all the facts, hey, you're going to be paying this back for the next 15 years. There's a good chance when you get out of college with the degree you have, you're still going to be working at Starbucks. There's a good chance you're only going to be able to pay the interest. You're not going to pay the principal down on this $40,000 worth of student loans you have. You're going to be paying on it, 20 years. If we gave them all the facts and they were like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Cool. We don't give them the facts. We tell them they have to go to college, and now they're in debt from the moment they become an adult. 18 years old, already in debt. And like I mentioned earlier, they know once they got you in debt, it's very easy to keep you in debt. A, because now you ain't got no money, so you have to get out credit cards to buy stuff because you're broke from paying off your student loan debts. But B, because then you just get that debt-based mindset, the DBM, that debt-based mindset where you think debt is okay. If you've had debt your whole adult life, of course, 5-10 years down the road, you're going to get more. You're kind of used to it. That's how you plan your financial future, is with debt, because that's what you've always done. That's what you've always done. Hey, I couldn't afford college. They gave me a loan. That's how I went there. I needed a house. Took out a loan. If I need to buy something else, I'll do it on credit cards. I need to go on vacay, I'll do it on credit. Like, you've always planned your finances with debt being an option. And you're just going to keep doing it. Which means that 20, 30, 40, 50 years go by, you're still in debt. Because you've never really stopped and thought, is there a way to make it in this world without debt? A lot of people just don't even think about debt-free, a loan-free lifestyle. It does not even occur to them. That's not an option to a lot of people. And that's so sad, because it is. They're trying to make it harder and harder, yes, but it is still possible to live a lifestyle and be successful and have all the things you want with very little or no debt. Like I said, they're making it harder and harder. So I understand people having some debt. Like the mortgage. You know, if you've always wanted a house, you got kids, you want a nice house to raise them in, you're probably going to have a mortgage. I understand that. But it's when people just have these crazy astronomical amounts of debt, and they keep piling debt on, and they keep, spending money they don't have and going deeper in debt, that's when it's a problem. Because at the end of the day, for a lot of people, the time does come, when you got to pay the Pied Piper. The time does come when the chickens come back home to roost. Trying to think of another, cliche thing I could say, phrase or saying here, I can't think of one. So we're just going to go with the Pied Piper and the chickens. The time comes when you start losing stuff. The time comes when the banks want their money. The credit card companies want their money. Time comes when, hey, that mortgage you signed, that was interest only or adjustable rate or with all the other crazy stuff they do. The time comes when, boom, you guys start paying more. You were paying $700 a month. Now it's, $1,300. You could end up losing the house. The time comes when you don't make 3 of them car payments because you can't afford the payment on 2 Mercedeses. They got to come take one. The time comes when you start losing stuff because you're so deep in debt. And not even that, even if you can stay above the water and you can pay all the debt you have every month, the stress that comes with it. And the sad thing is, a lot of people think this is the natural level of stress. Well, this is the amount of stress adults have. Living paycheck to paycheck, even if you're making good money, just because you have to pay all these loans back, pay back on these credit cards, pay on your mortgage. Well, that's what adults do. But there's this whole other side of life, this whole other lifestyle mindset where you don't have all that. Where you only incur debt when you really need to, when you've sat down, with people who know about money, thought it over, you've read the paperwork, you're getting a good loan, good rate, with your credit cards, you figured out a strategy. I'm going to put this on the credit card, but I'm going to pay that back off in 3 months, whatever. When you're making sound financial decisions and you're trying your best to get out of debt as soon as possible. A lot less stressful, because the day will come when you're out of debt. And then you can see what it's like for the other people. How freeing and just how light you feel when you don't have debt that you have to pay back. When all the money that you make from here on out, you can spend on stuff you want to spend on, for the most part. When you don't already have to, the next If you work a 40-hour week, 30 of those hours are going to go to paying debt off. When you get a paycheck and you can decide what to do with it, and you don't have to give it to the bank or the credit card company or the mortgage company, the car company. The stress just goes away. The stress, well, I mean, there's always stress in life, but your stress level will drop so drastically. You know how much easier it is to get up and go to work knowing you don't really have to, as opposed to getting up and going to work and knowing that even though I'm going to work all week, I'm still not going to have no money? When you can get up and go to work and be like, you know what? I may not really want to be here, but I know when I get paid on Friday, I'm going to get to keep most of my money. As opposed to, man, I really don't want to be here today. I really want to be here this week. And I know when I get paid on Friday, I'm still not going to have no money. Do you know how draining that is on you emotionally? Living paycheck to paycheck just because you got to give all your money to someone else. Just because someone else has already claimed your paycheck before you even work and get it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's kind of my message. Like, I want everyone to be able to experience what it's like to be in control of their financial future and not have someone else already have their hand out wanting their money. Not have someone already laid claim to your money 5 years, 10 years from now. You look down the road and all you see is brokenness for the next 10 years because you're in debt. It's a lot better when you look down the road and all you see is just open road. The ability to do what you want. Freedom. People throw around the word financial freedom. I do it a lot too, but there really is something to being free financially. There is something to being able to do what you want with your money and your finances. I get a check. I don't have debt. I don't have that many bills. I got options. I got things I can do with that money that can help me in the future. Instead of getting into debt and having to take all your money to pay these debts off, don't get into debt. Take that same money, invest it, make more money, less time you have to work. Take that money, put it in the bank. Less you have to work. Save that money. And then when you think of something, you will save it up. And when there's something you want to buy, pay cash for it. Boom, transaction over. You don't have to worry about giving nobody money for it. And yes, that will mean you may not be able to drive the nicest car. You may not be able to wear the nicest clothes. You may not be able to live in the nicest house. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean anything. That does not mean anything. Research has definitely shown, without a shadow of a doubt, that having bigger, better, faster, more does not make you happier in the long run. You get a quick burst of happiness, but over time, it does not make you happier. You know what does make you happier? Does help you sleep at night? Does give you more peace of mind? Having an emergency fund. Having money in the bank so if something comes up, you know you can pay for it. Not having to worry about, I hope nothing breaks because then I'm going to have to get out another credit card and put something else on credit. That adds to your happiness. It does make you a little happier? Knowing, hey, when I get paid on Friday, most of that money's mine. I'm going to take my kids somewhere special. We're going to have a good meal. We're going to go see Avengers Endgame. It's going to be a blast. A lot of people don't understand is that being deep in debt robs you of a lot of the things that life are all about. You don't have time to spend time with your kids and your family. You don't have the money to take your kids, your wife, your husband somewhere. You're broke. You're in debt. All your time and your money has to go to paying that debt back. You 10 years ago signed away hours, weeks, months of your life. Signed away those experiences that you'd be having. And in a lot of cases, it's so that we can acquire and buy things we really don't need in our life. We're trying to look a certain part. We're trying to play a certain role. We're trying to appear successful. And the credit card companies and the banks are right there, door open, seat empty, pen ready. Let me just print this out, you sign, boom, here we go. And it is all to make them richer at your expense. And guess what? They're out spending time with their wife and kids. They're out going on vacations. They're out buying nice stuff. But guess what? The people at the top who run these banks and these corporations and these companies, they can afford it because they got your money. They can afford to do all the stuff you can't do because they got your money. Your money's paying for those weekends in Aspen. Your money's paying for the Lamborghini. Your money's paying for the private jets. Your money's paying for the champagne and the escorts and the pools in the backyard. Your money's paying for all that. That's what, one of the things I always look at is that, where's the money going? People get into debt, they're flat broke because they're paying their money to somebody else. Where's that money ending up? And when I think about it, it makes me mad. Like, I get hot. That's another reason I really don't want to ever take out a loan or nothing like that. I'm not trying to finance their lifestyle. If anybody's going to be doing that stuff with the hard-earned money that I make, because I done had some hard jobs. I done some real manual labor in my life. I still, anyone who follows my channel knows that I do housekeeping at resorts, hotels, things like that. So I'm still in the trenches. I don't work as hard as I used to. I'm still in the trenches. You think I'm going to be making people's beds and scrubbing people's toilets so you can fly out to the Poconos? No, I'm not. They think we're stupid. They think we are stupid, and they think that we are just going to mindlessly go into debt, make them richer, and that they're just going to keep doing it. Because they've been doing it for the past 30, 40 years. And there's been no kickback. There's been very little pushback. It seems almost like every decade people get more in debt. Debt increases. And whenever there does seem to be a little pushback, they just tweak something in the numbers, give out a lot of loans they really shouldn't give out, and they win. Even when the whole system comes crashing down, they got the governments in their pocket, so they win, they get bailed out. They win again, they start it all over. It is insane what they are doing to us, the everyday working man and woman. It is insane what they are doing to us with this whole debt thing. Lives are being ruined. Literally, lives are being ruined. People are committing suicide. Families are being broken apart. People are living on the street, living in their cars, living in tent cities, all because of the greed of these institutions that all they want to do is milk us of our money. And like I said, not just the money we have now, which would be bad enough. They want to milk us of the money we're going to make in our future and milk us basically of our future. And we keep playing the game. We keep playing the game. These people are like, they're literally sitting up there laughing and enjoying our money while we get stressed out and sick and have strokes and heart attacks and diabetes and cancer and all these other things that are stress related, and come from all the other things we put our body through, trying to pay off these loans. And a lot of times it's for things we don't even need. So my point is, if you're out there and you're already trying to live a debt-free lifestyle, you're trying to pay off your debts, keep going. I know sometimes it's probably easy to take out another loan, hop back in debt, get a nicer car, because that's everything around us says to do that. It's easy to fall back into the debt trap. Don't do it. Keep holding strong. Get debt-free. Pay down your debts as much as possible, because the other side of it is beautiful. And if you're a young person or you're anyone who does not have debt as it is, don't get any. Don't get any. As much as possible, do not get any debt. Listen to me on this one. If you don't listen to Tim on nothing else, don't get any debt. Now, it's very hard to do, but it is possible to do. Every time they send you a credit card, chop it up. If you don't have the cash for it, don't buy it. If you can't afford to buy a house, rent. I know people will tell you that rent is a waste of money, things like that. You have to sit down for yourself and ask yourself, do I have to own a home? Or would I rather rent? But then also there's options like rent to own. We act like this isn't a thing. There's people you can buy from a homeowner. for sale by owner, rent to own, things like that. There are options of getting a house without getting a mortgage, going into debt. But if you don't have any debt, before you get some, sit down and think, is this really some debt I need? Before you sign that paperwork for your student loans, ask yourself, is this really going to pay off in my future? Do I really need to do this? Do I want to do this? A lot of people don't want to go to college. A lot of people don't want to be saddled with 4 to 8 years of school after they just went through 12 of them, 12 years of it. But they feel they have to. So think for yourself. You got to think for this day and age, more than any other time in history, you have to think for yourself. Back in the day, it was always been good to think for yourself. But back in the day, society was different. Back in the day, a lot of the societal norms went in your favor. Oh, everybody does this, and it was something good. Oh, nobody does that. It was something good. Today, it seems like most of the societal norms go against us. Most of the stuff that people are like, oh, everybody does that is negative. Everybody gets into debt. You know, it's crazy. Like back in the day, you could kind of get along just going along with everybody else. Now you go along with everybody else, your life is ruined. You're depressed. You need pills. Think for yourself. Do I really want to get into debt? How long is it going to take me to pay this off? What could I be doing with that money I'm saving? And would putting that money towards something over here benefit me more than putting it towards this where I have to get a loan, where I have to go into debt? Ask yourself this stuff. Because at the end of the day, you are the person in charge of your financial future and your life. There will be a lot of people who say things to try to help you, me included. Excuse me. There'll be a lot of people who say things to try to help you. There'll be conflicting views. Different people say, do this, don't do this, do that, don't do that. But at the end of the day, it's you. You have to make the decisions and you have to live with them. Do not let society or your parents or friends or teachers or anyone else dictate how you live your life, and more specifically, how you spend your money. The debt trap is called a debt trap because it is a trap. You get in it, it is very hard to get out. And you end up living your life, or a large portion of it, just to pay back money to people who really don't deserve it. Pay back money to people who, like I said, if the loans and all the things these days were fair, hey, they deserve to get the money back. If someone loans you money, I think they deserve to get their money back and a little extra. This day and age, they're getting their money back and double, 2 times over sometimes. They don't deserve that much of your money. They don't deserve that much of your time, your life. So ask yourself, is it worth it for you? If it is, hey, go for it. Whatever. It's your life. Do what you do. If it's not, well then, hey, maybe do some more research, living debt-free. Guys like Dave Ramsey, Lauren Grootman, these some financial people that are really about, cutting your spending habits, cutting your bills back, getting out of debt, staying out of debt. I just talk. These people are experts. They got advice and, really can tell you how to do it. They got books and shows. I just like to talk. I like to consider myself, just someone who tweaks your mind so that you can go to the actual experts and figure out what to actually do. But maybe look into some of their stuff and decide, if nothing else, change your mindset on finances, on money, on debt, and decide, hey, from now on, I'm not going to play this debt game. I'm not going to make other people rich at my expense from the fruits of my labor. I want to be able to keep my paycheck. And then just go from there. So, hopefully I didn't ramble on too long about debt. There's so many other aspects of debt I can go into. I didn't touch on payday loans like I said I was going to. Briefly, let me just say, never get a payday loan. Never get a payday loan. Never do a car title loan. Any of those things do not do. Maybe I'll do a video about those later. But yeah, there's so many other places I can go. But y'all been here long enough. Y'all been patient and listened to me this long. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Hope this talk was informative. Hope it might have hit you, made you think a little bit. If you're listening to this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I do lots of talks like this, lots of other videos. Check out some of my videos. You'll see I talk about minimalism, seasonal work, living your dreams, things like that. Motivation that I think we all need in this day and age. Also check the description box. You will see my social medias. I'm trying to get my Instagram up. So if you're on IG, give me a little follow, see if you like what you see. Also, if you have any comments on this talk or questions or anything like that, please leave them in the comment box below, or you can hit me up on social media as well and ask your question. I do, unlike a lot of people, I do respond to comments and, messages, things like that, DMs. I do respond. Some days I just lay in bed and I'm feeling lazy and I just answer, comments and questions. So yeah, feel free to do that. Thank you for listening. I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a blessed day.